Hi, it's Rosetree, aura reader and resident of Loudoun County, Virginia, a swing county in a swing state. I'm going to use skills of energetic literacy as described in a different YouTube that is introductory called Aura Reading for Decision 2016, which I hope you're making with care. This is the first of 4. I've never done any of these 4 before. This is of Hillary Clinton, presidential candidate, Democratic ticket. I have a photo of her that I'm going to use. It's a standard current photo of her because I'm reading the aura of a person at the time of the photo, so that's important. All right, I'm going to start off with the very first chakra data bank. It's a root chakra data bank for her presence in the room. You'll see me doing a preparation process that won't take long and using a technique, and I'll tell you what I find first about a gift of her soul for her presence in the room. Stubbornness and strength are very important components of her presence in the room, and they're really gifts for life. I'm using my finger to indicate how like a fingerprint it is having a gift of the soul. This is just for her presence. Now I'll get to the business end, the size and quality. Again, I go back to researching. Goes out about 80 feet from the body. These are symbolic sizes. And this is her, of course, during a campaign event. This is not her sitting and cutting her toenails. This is out in public in the most public sort of way. And the quality here is really flavored by a connection to the divine that is in her aura. And that is a part of her identity. And in terms of her human self, there is a service orientation that's very strong. It's not so much that her presence is, check out me, I am great. It's more, how can I be of service to you? And that's not really something that we tend to look for in American politics, is it? But that it really is her presence. So now let's go on to a different one of her root chakra data banks. This one is the one for financial integrity. And yeah, I think that matters a lot, don't you? Okay, here we go. So the symbolic size of this root chakra data bank is 80 feet. And I would say over-functioning, except that it is not unusual for someone in a campaign event to have aura a bit bigger than usual. And so she is being present in that sort of way. When it comes to the financial integrity, there's a quality of meticulous concern, as in going into the granular details to find out what is that for, what's that attached to, and noticing the overall picture, but also being very particular about those details and having a strong need for financial integrity. Let's go on over to the next one, which is the solar plexus chakra data bank for sharing power, something I trust you would want in a chief executive. I would want that. This goes out about 80 feet, and as with the other data banks I've been reading, there is a core of connection to the divine that is beautiful. That's just who she's become in this life. She didn't always have that, I read her aura back when she was First Lady. She did not have that, but she's been evolving since those years, and I bet you have too. So anyway, the quality here is of a great deal of flexibility combined with gravitas. You know, gravitas is this fancy Latin word for a stateliness and a presence of take me seriously and listen to my words. It's not pompous, it's more, this matters to me and pay attention. So there is a lot of flexibility about getting closer to people or being more distant as it serves her power dynamics. A lot of variation in how she would relate to people depending on how the relationship is going. Next, solar plexus chakra data bank for assessing choices in objective reality. This being the one chakra data bank that I'll be reading for each politician that that politician would have. The likes of me and maybe you, we don't have that one. It's so interesting. So the next chakra data bank on Hillary Clinton will be assessing choices in objective reality. This is a solar plexus chakra data bank, and here we go. It's out 80 feet. There is core presence of the divine as well as her very human self expressing in her life. And the quality here involves mind works with heart to a really well integrated degree. It's just how she rolls, that her heart and her mind work together when making choices. And the quality includes honor, I'd have to say. That there could be different choices, and there's a desire to make the best one in the situation where there's honor. Not necessarily what's easier, but where there is honor. So that's Hillary Clinton about that chakra data bank. Next on my list, speaking of emotions and heart, a heart chakra data bank for emotional connection to people with lower social status than you. This is the optional chakra data bank in the set of chakra data banks I compiled for this kind of reading, for helping all of us voters and spectators who are concerned about Decision 2016, America's upcoming election. So I don't mean to insult you when I say that perhaps you, like me, it is not that big a deal how we connect emotionally to people with lower social status than us, because it's not almost everybody. Anyway, let me go on to read this one on former Secretary of State and now presidential candidate Hillary Clinton. It's out about 80 feet. And there is a lot of interest, compassion, I'd say humility in this chakra data bank. There's curiosity, there's listening ability in that emotional connection to people with lower status. And there's an awful lot of sensitivity for someone who has been talking on the campaign trail about how thick-skinned she is. I might just have blown some of her cover there. Too bad. And now let's go on over to a throat chakra data bank. This one is for communication while in a position of power. And you or I might have that as a parent or at work. It could be important. For someone who might be president, whoa, I think that could be very important, huh? So, way of communicating while in a position of power. goes out about 80 feet as well. And the quality here is of a keen intelligence looking for the truth of what's going on with the other person and aiming to match what she has to say with what that other person can hear. There is integrity in here. There's also flexibility, which really is part of how there's nuance for this particular soul. And there's nuance to how she communicates within the spectrum of what's true. There could be an awfully big range of colors. And she does make use of that in a way that a politician would need to be effective. At least most politicians would be. When I read candidate Trump, it may be a rather different way of communicating. We'll see. Meanwhile, there are two left. I'd like to read two different third eye chakra databanks. And so the next to the last one I'm going to be researching here is the third eye chakra databank for connection to psychic level sources. Because living in this age of awakening, there's no veil anymore. We used to have on Earth a veil that separated human and astral and divine. Now that that's gone, there's a lot of interaction that there did not used to be between human beings and various spirits. And I just want to be sure. I would want to know about this one. And you may too. So here we go. It's out 80 feet, and there's a respectful, strong presence. Lots of feminine energy in here. I don't mean in a sort of sex symbol-y way. I mean, I have the corpus callosum in my human embodiment of a female. And the perceptiveness to just be able to tell who is speaking, where that person is coming from, and be able to recognize the truth. This is something that really has been pervading Hillary Clinton's aura all along in this aura reading. And I think we would probably find it in her other chakra databanks as well. A really keen, it's like maybe sometime you've had a friend who would just be talking and looking in a casual way, and then there'd be a moment when that person would just look at you, not necessarily staring, but it would be as though that person really sees you as you are, not in a creepy way, not necessarily in a seductive way, but just soul to soul. Because of the consciousness she has developed and her interest in life, she does that. So back at the whole component of self around interacting with and connecting to psychic level beings, she's respectful, she's not interested in taking orders from them. Today, quite a lot of people, sadly, are, but she is not. And then the last one of our set is the third eye chakra databank for connection to spiritual source. Whatever she would call that as a Methodist, might be God. Here we go. Goes at 80 feet, and it is a familiar experience to her. It's familiar. It's her core experience of identity. As somebody who does aura readings and helps in the field of Rosetree energy spirituality, I've done a lot of aura reading over the years, just as I've done a lot of energy healing with the distinctive skill sets of this field, RES for short, Rosetree energy spirituality for long. And I help empaths with empath empowerment coaching. So I've explored a lot about how people grow with these skills and in ways that I don't have to help with, like Hillary Clinton, who has never been my client in any way. And because I've noticed so much going on, back in 2012, I think it was, I started making what I call an enlightenment life list about when people's auras show that they've moved into a higher state of consciousness. Householder enlightenment, available to millions of people, I believe, living now in this age of awakening. Hillary Clinton is there. If you'd like to learn more about my aura readings, the Enlightenment Life List, about different ways I might be able to help you or teach you, please go to my website, rosetree.com. And if you are eligible to vote on our upcoming election day, no matter whom you vote for, please vote. Invite your friends to vote, and vote all the way down the ticket for the people you believe are best qualified. Please. Meanwhile, I hope you've enjoyed this. I'm going on next to research Donald Trump, also a presidential candidate in 2016.